Yo everyone, what's going on? Sanjay Uchiha here. So ever since Naruto ended and Masashi Kishimoto made the statement that, he plans to do another manga, a sci-fi manga at that, or even more than that, a manga that surpasses Naruto, I'm pretty sure expectations have been pretty high for this manga. And this past weekend, the weight has finally lifted. It's finally over. Samurai 8 has premiered. I'm recording this video on the 14th of May, and the first chapter came out over the past weekend. So yeah, there's that. Of course, I'll be doing reviews on Samurai 8, so you can look forward to that as an additional segment here on the channel. So be sure to rate, comment, subscribe, and let's get right into it. So as I said, Masashi Kishimoto about 4 or 5 years ago made the statement that he plans to do another manga, sci-fi based, and he hopes that he'll be able to surpass Naruto with this new manga. And as I mentioned, the chapter is out, and I just want to give you guys my initial impression / review. Now, Samurai 8, coming off the chapter, I read it last night, so let me just bring up my notes here. So let's get into the first segment, my initial impressions. So for the most part, I thought this first chapter achieved its goal of just capturing the interest of us, the audience. For me personally, I want to see where they go with this manga. It's a setup where Kishimoto he's not drawing, he's not doing the illustrations, he's the author, the writer. I've forgotten the name of the person that's actually doing the illustration. Okubo. I more than likely got that wrong, but yeah, you can definitely look up the author, the illustrator, the artist. But yeah, that's the setup that we have here. It's interesting, and I think it's a pretty good setup. Gives Kishimoto some time to, more time to focus on the narrative itself. So that's a positive, I'd say. But for all intents and purposes, this first chapter was a good one. It captured our interest of us, the audience, and I love that. If nothing else, it achieved that goal. Now, getting more in depth with the chapter, and kind of just going back through my notes here, what I have written down. Honestly, there are some positives and negatives getting into this chapter. Now, the first thing that kind of jumps out to you, the reader, is the length of the chapter. It's like 71 pages. I mean, I guess 70, 69. Give or take, with minus like the cover page, which is a wonderful color cover page. I believe the first 2 pages were colored, so there's that. But yeah, the first thing that really jumps out is the length of the chapter, and it kind of acts as a double-edged sword, because honestly, the first chapter, I don't really know if a lot of manga actually go to that extreme to be this long for their first chapter. No, because of that, it kind of feels like it's a lot of information, a lot of exposition, a lot of stuff to just digest in the first read. So let me know what you guys thought about that, if you kind of felt overwhelmed by all the information, all the exposition that was happening for the first chapter. But that being said, it kind of works to the advantage, because for the most part, we don't have to spend the first few chapters going over some minor stuff that may not be interesting. It kind of felt like Kishimoto just dumped all the unnecessary slow-paced stuff that would have gotten if he had done it in like 20 or 30 pages. So with chapter 2 going forward, we can delve into more interesting stuff to kind of keep the pace of how chapter 1 ended. So yeah, so it's kind of a double-edged sword. But yeah, it works for the most part. As I said, it definitely captures the interest of us, the audience. The main reason I'd say it captures our interest, I'm not gonna lie, there are lots of elements that Kishimoto is dealing with here. He's incorporated stuff like as he mentioned, it's a sci-fi manga, so we're dealing with stuff with like cyborgs, space travel, protecting the galaxy, and that's mixed in with stuff like reincarnation, gods, souls, and of course it's in Shonen Jump, so you can't really leave out that shonen aspect. So for the most part, the story was alright plus, but I think the main thing that's driving me to go on to chapter 2, apart from the fact that it's Masashi Kishimoto, which is a major drawing calling card, no matter how you slice and dice it. But I think it's just the interest or the curiosity to see how all these elements will kind of work together for this manga, and hopefully to achieve the aim of surpassing Naruto. So that's definitely definitely something. Now the overall premise, it seems, based on the first few pages, is that and for the, well, I guess however long this manga will be, how many years it'll run for, is that we have this mission to retrieve something called Pandora's box and the 7 keys to open said box. Apparently this warrior god Akala sealed a way to save all the planets in the galaxy in the box. But this ties in with some of the lines we got at the beginning of the chapter, where we have this guy that was looking kind of like the Sage of Six Paths, telling, who we'd later find out should be Daruma, who's turns out it looks like it's gonna be like a master-student relationship between this Daruma character and our main character, who I'll get to in a bit. But yeah, they kind of set the pace or the tone or the objective or the reason for the characters doing what they're doing from the first few pages. You know, protecting the galaxy is the samurai's way of life, and that kind of ties back into the whole overall or overarching narrative with, you know, find Pandora's box. The gods have sealed a way to save the galaxy and all the planets in the box. Ties wonderfully back into the whole samurai motto that we got in the first two pages. So, all intents and purposes, narrative is kind of being strung on pretty well so far, I'd say. So there's that. One thing I will say, Hachimaru. I mean, it's more of a wait and see for me. He hasn't really grown on me yet. Naturally, it's the first chapter. He seems like an okay main character. He wants to be a samurai, but he's sick. Weak, his body's not really suited for combat. It kind of reminds me, it was a situation where, if you remember back in Naruto, where we had Madara hooked up to the machine, old Madara. It was basically a setup just like that with the main character to start. Now, towards the end of the chapter, we get the main character essentially dying, kind of like a Yu Yu Hakusho kind of vibe, I suppose. But he gets reincarnated and gets a better body and actually becomes a samurai by the end of this chapter, where we saw him go up against this other samurai. I was gonna say, it kind of reminds me of Naruto. And that's the next thing I want to get to, the art. There were a lot of times throughout this chapter where the art felt, for the most part, the art overall feels a bit crowded. I'm not gonna lie. It's like initially, after I moved from the color page, I was like, okay, I'm looking around. There's just a lot of information, a lot of scenery to take in, but it's just drawn so crowded to me. I hope that's something that can improve as we go along. So there's that. I definitely love the dynamic between Hachimaru, the main character, and his father. You know, just seeing Hachimaru had a resolve towards the end to sacrifice his life for his father, because it's a case where we got a lot of exposition in terms of how the world works here, who are chosen to be samurai, the mechanics behind how samurais work. We got a lot of exposition, and as I said, this kind of helps to serve the purpose of, you know, eliminating the slow pace of the first few chapters by making the first chapter so long, I'd say. All in all, I won't get into too much detail. I've covered the premise, the plot, my initial impressions. It was a good chapter. I liked it, definitely liked it. I'm interested to see what Masashi Kishimoto is going to bring to the table with this manga for the most part. I hope the art gets better going forward. As I said, it was a bit crowded. But all in all, I thought it was a good chapter. Definitely captured our interest as an audience. Definitely want to see what happens next. And how we have had some sci-fi elements, but I really want to see the world. I hope there's a lot of world building, and it seems like there may be some setup for that. So I guess rate, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you thought of the chapter. Let me know your first impressions, and if you're interested in seeing me talk more about Samurai 8. But yeah, Sanjay Uchiha, and I'll see you guys in the next one.